All right, so it's been a little bit since we did a TV update, and we still need to really organize our list because I think Sir Chunk has 83 things still on his list, and
83
so
is totally normal.
that's probably not going to make his list eventually. But anyway, so this is part 4 of, I don't know, indefinite amounts.
Of some TV shows you like?
Yeah, so we're going to start with
I don't even know what's going to be on here.
Yeah, we're going to start with one we both like, and this is Community. This show, and it's funny because I kept hearing it was really good, and then, we just never watched it for whatever reason, and then I think it was, during the pandemic, right? We were oh, we should watch that. Yeah, I think so, and when we, had nothing else to do, so we were oh, let's watch this show, and it was so funny. This show's fantastic, and apparently there's going to be a movie.
Yeah, 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, there's finally going to be a movie.
So what's so good about this show is it's got the normal thing that's great about a show, the characters are great and they have great chemistry, but also this is maybe the best show ever at doing themed episodes.
Yeah.
The paintball episodes, of course, are legendary. The first Dungeons and Dragons episode, which is now banned due to the Drow Elf blackface.
Right.
But it's so hilarious, and absolutely, maybe even my favorite episode is the G.I. Joe episode, which is just so... If you watch the G.I. Joe TV show, and then you watch this episode, it's unbelievably hilarious.
Yeah, this show is really, really funny, and, it's so hard to pull off, pop culture references and be, not date yourself and not feel sort of, too niche. And they really managed to do it in a way that's, interesting if you don't know what they're referencing, but super funny if you do. And, that's a hard thing to pull off. And I know they made, the Rick and Morty, which we really probably should watch because you'd probably like, but...
So one episode.
We watched, one episode and we just couldn't get into it, so, well, maybe someday. All right, so your first...
Bing, bonga-diggy, bump, bump. So this, Cheers, of course, iconic show... this for a long time was my favorite show ever. When it was it was out and I was watching new episodes, it was just so good because this is one of the first, I want to say adult comedies. It's not super adult. It's on network TV, you know what I mean? But that I was allowed to watch that had sort of slightly racier topics. So I was into that, and also the characters on the show. There's just a swarm of spectacular characters. It's loaded with great characters. It's one of the best character-driven shows of all time, in my opinion. And I also to stay up late for it.
Yeah, I like Cheers, but I think I was, still too young when it was really on. And so, a lot of, when I'd watch it, I was, kind of bored a lot of it.
I can't even name everybody in that picture, can you? Can you, coward?
I mean, that's Norm, Frasier, Carla, Sam, Woody, Cliff... Diane, and I don't know who that guy is.
Almost, that's Coach. You got almost all of them, though. Pretty good.
I think that's the thing is, I didn't really like a lot of the relationship stuff, and there was a decent amount of that at points, and so I was eh. But, when I watch it now, I really like it, and obviously, we're from, Massachusetts, and we're kind of, required by law to like this show.
Norm and Cliff and Woody are 3 of the best side characters ever.
Yeah, a lot of the side stuff's really, really funny. I just didn't care at all about Sam and his relationship.
Sam is fine, but yeah, the relationship with Diane and then later Rebecca is not interesting. But that was only a small portion of the show.
Wait, that's the same guy as the God guy from Good Place, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sam. Wow, he got old.
He's in a lot of things. He's in that Becker or show or
I haven't watched that.
I didn't watch it either, but I know it was popular for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I like Cheers, but that's why it's on Sir Chunk's list. And then a show that for some reason Sir Chunk just doesn't get.
I get it just fine. I just don't like it.
Is Succession, and this show is the best writing and acting ever. It's so good, and it's such a good example of how you can make a story about some of the most unlikable people and yet make it super intriguing and fun to watch. Because, no one in this show is very likable. You're like, wow, these are horrible people, but it's so engaging. And the writing is, like somehow it can be like edge of your seat, even though it's like really, if you try to explain to someone what the like story is and what the stakes are, it doesn't seem like it would be interesting. And for the longest time, everyone kept talking about how good it was, and I hadn't watched it. And I was like, finally, I was just like, all right, fine, I'm gonna watch it because it's popular. You know, HBO seems to be good, and I get it. And like, yeah, but it's, I don't know what HBO does. I don't know what their magic has been, but they seem to really know how to like pick shows that, even if they wouldn't appeal to you naturally, are just so phenomenally made.
Well, it's not TV, it's HBO.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so Team One is Stranger Things. And what's funny about this show is this show came out and like a couple people like were like, hey, you guys should watch this. You'd probably really like it. And this was like the weekend it came out. And they were like, you know, it's got like that 80s vibe and it's very Stephen King. And we were like, oh, okay, yeah, we should check it out. And we watched the trailer and we were like, oh, yeah, this looks good. Let's watch an episode or two. And then that was the whole weekend. And then we just like, we went to bed and we're like, I guess we should go to sleep. And then got up and continued watching. And flew through this show in like a day and a half. It's so good. Yeah. You can talk about it because I know how much you love this.
I mean, it's so popular. I don't need to say too much about it. What I will say is obviously I love the 80s vibe, of course. And what I like about this show is that like I've rewatched it a few times, and sometimes you rewatch a show and it's like it loses something. For some reason, even when I rewatch the show, it feels just as exciting as the first time I had watched it, and that's pretty rare for me. Like you don't usually rewatch something and feel just as into it as you have in the past, but that's what happens with this for me.
The characters are so good too. Like, I mean, like Steve obviously is amazing, and if you haven't seen it or you're only watching the first season, you're probably like Steve, but you'll love Steve eventually. And I think what's so great about this show is it really harkens back to like that old 80s sort of like adventure type of show. And
it gives you a chance to use a word like harkens.
Yeah, but it also like does a really good job of like dealing with like, you know, having like characters with like diverse backgrounds, but not in like, it doesn't feel forced, you know, like they do it very authentically, which is, you know, something I think a lot of shows struggle with like, oh, we want to kind of have like accurate representation, and like it's what, Indiana in the 80s, and like they don't make like, you know, having like a female lead and having people of color and having, you know, gay characters, like it doesn't feel like they're forcing it in there, you know, and it's just nice because, you know, we didn't have a lot of that when we were growing up, but it like makes it kind of like 80s accurate, but also like modern and fresh, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Ahoy. Also, it's one of those shows that like whenever I see or hear anything about it, I want to watch it again.
Yeah,
it shows you how much you like something. When like you're like, okay, I heard about it or I saw an old trailer for it, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, it's just such a good, I mean, it's basically like, yeah, it just does everything well. So, hopefully we'll eventually see season 5. All right, so another one of yours. I've only watched like the first episode twice for some reason.
All right, so I mean, here's another one I don't think I need to say too much about. This shows up at the top of most all-time favorite TV show list, top 5 pretty much always. And so I had, again, so many millions of people. I didn't watch this show till after it was finished being out. And this is the first show I ever watched an entire season in one day. So I started season 1, episode 1. I think I was sick, and like in the morning, and I was like, whatever, I'll see if I like the show. And then I watched the entire first season right in a row. And I was like, oh, I guess I must have liked this because I watched the entire season. It's one of those shows that like is so good at creating like stakes and obstacles for the characters to overcome, and making like the resolution of those things incredibly satisfying and exciting. So many shows, like, I think, fail at, like, the big sort of, like, moment of, like, you know, I don't know, the climactic moment, right? And this just nails it so good over and over and over again. And, of course, it's a fantastic story about a regular dude who turns into this, like, just incredibly dark, horrible person. And I love that.
Yeah, for some reason I've just watched the first episode twice, and like, I think it's one of those things where like, there's like, he has like certain shows like this, like Peaky Blinders, like I've watched parts of, and I'm like, this show looks exceptional, and like, where I can tell it's a great show. It's just, it's probably kind of like Succession for you. It's like, at some point you just don't care. Like, you're just like...
The problem for Succession for me is I feel like it's the exact same story, just recycled like 4 times.
It's not, though. That's what's so good.
Really is. It's just like variations of the same story. Pizza on the Roof. All right, let's go.
Okay. All right, so the next one is mine. And Sir Chuck liked this show, but I don't know if, like...
Oh, she was obsessed with this. She'd be, like, reading blogs.
Yeah, so...
like, it's just a totally fun, like, last man standing, trapped room murder mystery kind of thing, which I really enjoy. But this person over here went hog wild for it.
Yeah, it was... So basically, like, it's all these people at a wedding on an island, and people are getting killed off one by one per episode, you know.
I think it was one per day, wasn't it, too? Like, for the show's
Yeah, so it was, like, super, like, just, I mean, everything I like, you know, and I had, like, literally, like, 2 notebooks full of notes. I would just keep rewatching episodes. I would save them, because we would, like, record them on DVR, and then we would, like, I would save them and rewatch them and take notes. And, like, I gotta be honest, like, the eventual, like, outcome of the show was kind of disappointing for the amount of work and, like, theories I had and conversations I took.
It was kind of disappointing. And once Screw You Guys, I Hate High School died, I lost interest because I didn't like any of the last 2 characters.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, like, it's... I mean, I had so much fun watching it, and I think it's, like, one of those experiences that, like, you know, I think with everything that's streaming, this is an example of, like, one of the things we kind of have lost with, like, shows that are, like, weekly, you know, because now we kind of all, even, like, I do this, you know, like, I just, like, wait until a season is out, even if it comes out weekly, because I like to binge things, but, you know, we kind of lose that really fun experience of all sort of, like, you know, every week you're like, what's going to happen next?
I like that. I like doing something like Mandalorian. I think is still a show that I do.
Yeah,
that with,
some
I really
shows
like.
still
I watch
have
it the
that.
day it comes out, just the one episode. But yeah, I don't do that with too many things.
Right, like, you know, and that's something that, like, there aren't that many shows that just have that kind of engagement. So the next is of Both of Us, and this was a very short-lived show that we, like everyone else, didn't find out about until well after it was out.
Yeah, I think this is a great example of a show that was canceled probably about 6 seasons too early.
Yeah.
I think there's 9 episodes. Every episode is amazing. It's Firefly, of course. And if you like sci-fi Western comedies, which is a very common genre, of course, man, is this great. Characters, again, amazing. Writing, spectacular. It's so fun. It's just got like so many just hilarious moments that just stick in my head. It's a great show. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it really quick. Like I said, 9 episodes, I believe. But you also are going to be sad. There is a movie.
Right, they did a good job of like kind of wrapping it up a little.
Movie's a little sad in parts, but I'm in Leaf on the Wind.
But
Watch Eyesore.
But they did a good job of like giving kind of closure to the fans as well, so that was kind of nice. All right, Sir John, you were just talking about this.
I just talked about The Mandalorian. How about that? This is the way. So I was just saying how this show is one of the few shows that, like, I like to watch the one episode the day it comes out. I think it usually comes out on Wednesday. Did it used to come out on Wednesdays?
Yeah, I think it used to be Wednesdays.
And so I'd watch every Wednesday, and then, of course, people would be talking about it. And so, like, it's like the rare... We don't really have water cooler shows anymore.
We don't have water coolers. People, like, work remote now.
Anyway, I don't. But, great show. There's a lot of Star Wars-y stuff out kind of recently, and, like, some, at least most of it, I think, is at least decent. But this, I think, is, like, probably the best thing that's been a part of the Disney Star Wars thing is probably Mandalorian.
Everyone keeps saying Andor is good. We watched the first episode, and it looks awesome.
I haven't seen Andor,
and
I haven't seen Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's animated,
yeah,
though.
Wasn't there something else I hadn't seen?
Well, The Acolyte looks like it's going to be amazing.
But I've seen pretty much everything else. And Mandalorian's my favorite. Again, great characters as always. Really well acted. Production design is beautiful. It does a really good job of making it have that Star Wars feel, but at the same time, not just cranking out the generic Star Wars. Here, we're gonna throw some old music. We're gonna use screen wipes. Like, so you know what I mean? They sort of make it a little more new.
Well, like we talked about this, is how like Star Wars has so many opportunities to like expand their universe, but then they just keep crapping out the same stuff, and it's like. That's why things like Mandalorian and like Andor and stuff are great, because and like Acolyte's going to be set in like the High Republic, so it's not even in the same like timeline. And
plus we get Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks. I mean, it's with Costa Reeves, I think, but Sasha Banks.
Right, but I think like it's
whatever.
It's nice, and it's fine to have, you know, you can have crossovers with the characters. You know, you have Boba Fett and you have like Luke, and that's fine, but, like, you really want, like, you want to be able to expand the universe. Like, we don't need more Luke Skywalker stories, like, at this point. Sorry, but, like, aren't we all kind of just sick of, like, the same thing?
No.
And this is from someone who, like, you know, I remember being like, someday, like, I can't believe we'll never have more Star Wars. And now I'm like, please stop.
Whatevs.
Although you're way more of a Star Wars fan, which... All right, so my next one is a show I used to love, and this is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I grew up, like, loving Archie comics anyway, and then, I mean, I love Melissa Joan Hart, I loved Sabrina, yeah, I know, you think she's hot, and I like Clarissa Explains It All, but, Sabrina is so funny. Salem is so funny.
Yeah, Salem's the star of the show.
I know that, like, there's, like, a dark version now, you know, because they went with, like, Riverdale and making, like, Archie comics darker. And, like, I don't know why. Like, I mean, Archie comics are cute and fun, and, like, we have enough dark versions of everything. Like, you know, let Batman be dark, which should be dark. Like, the new Batman, like, Batman keeps getting darker. Great. It should be dark. You know, the new Penguin looks cool and, like, dark. But Archie comics, just keep them fun. Like, they're supposed to be cute and fun.
Yeah.
And Sabrina was just such a cute show. And also Salem is awesome.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't love a talking wizard cat? And then, okay, so we have another. And then I think this...
Probably both.
Yeah, this is our both. Okay. So this is our last one. And so this is Superstore. I don't know. Do you want to talk about it first? Or?
I mean, I'll just briefly say, I think, because, like, I really like the show. I think you're maybe, like, more of it than I do. But I do really like it. But my favorite part about this show is they'll have, like, your regular stuff. Again, fun characters, sort of thing. But then randomly, like, between scenes, they'll just have these short clips of, like, ridiculous stuff happening in the store. And you know it's, like, stuff that has really happened, but it's absurd. Like, a guy's just, like, he's eating a sandwich, and he's done with it, so he puts in, like, a cereal box and closes it and puts it back on the shelf. It's, like, ridiculously stupid things. You're like, what is happening? Love it.
Yeah, I really like, I mean, obviously The Office kind of started out this, like, you know, workplace comedy, and then, this is kind of fake documentary, is it?
No.
Oh, it's not? Yeah, I mean, that obviously was, like, a thing, too, but, like, I love the workplace comedy type of humor, but I think what makes Superstore, what made it such a great show, is it was so, like, in tune with, like, current events, and I feel like there's so many, like, there's enough Real Housewives and Keeping Up with the Kardashians and, I don't know, like, a bunch of rich people being rich and, like, completely out of touch with reality. And it was so refreshing to watch a show that was just about, like, regular people working a crappy retail job. And, like, you were just like, you know what? Like, this is what, like, everyone's life is really like, you know? And it was so nice. And it's a lot of what, like, The Office did. But, you know, it does it for, like, even crappier jobs. And, like,
plus, we get the dude from Kids in the Hall for the first time in, like, 30 years.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I realized it was him. Like, but, like, the cast is great. The show is really funny. But it was just, like, such a, like, refreshing look at just, like, you know, kind of positioning real people in, like, real events. And then just being like, like kind of light humor of like how crappy everybody's like daily lives are, but not like not
everything
miserable.
sucks, but it can still be fun in small ways. Underrated character. I forget his name and I forget her name, but the younger girl's husband.
Oh, Bo.
That guy. Yeah. Oh, Bo. That guy is awesome.
Yeah, the whole show is just, it was so great. And you know, it's one of those shows that was like disappointing when it ended, but like they were smart, you know, they were kind of like, they left it with like enough.
You want to leave it when it's still good.
Yeah,
you don't
like
want to How I Met Your Mother that thing.
Yeah,
you ruin your show.
You leave the show and you were like really sad at the finale, and you were kind of like, please come back. But then that's the thing, is you want to leave it like that because then you can go back and rewatch it and enjoy it, and you don't have that bad taste in your mouth because it like pushed it at itself too long. So anyway, so those are some more shows. We'll come back probably who knows when. In probably, you know, a couple weeks or a month or whenever we feel like it, and talk about some more.
Boo.